Between 20,000 and 40,000 years ago, humans didn't intentionally create dogs. Instead, dogs created themselves, in a process that humans barely understood, and certainly didn't plan. The story begins with wolves, the direct ancestor of every dog that has ever lived. Gray wolves were naturally attracted to human settlements because humans left behind food scraps. As people hunted large game animals, wolves followed these hunts to scavenge the leftover carcasses. Settlements with more waste attracted more wolves, and over generations, the wolves that were least afraid of humans had better access to food. This is the first critical moment in dog domestication. Humans didn't recruit wolves. Instead, the boldest, most tolerant wolves self-selected for life near human communities. The wolves that remained too fearful of humans moved on or starved. The wolves that were comfortable around people ate better and survived longer. This created intense selection pressure, favoring less fearful animals. Humans may have helped this process by leaving extra food or adopting young wolf pups. But the driving force was the wolves' own choice to live alongside people. Over hundreds of generations, something remarkable happened. The wolves living near humans began to change, not through any intentional breeding program, but through a process called artificial selection. Only the friendliest wolves survived long enough to reproduce near human settlements. Their offspring inherited these friendly traits. The bold wolves that attacked people were killed. The timid wolves that wouldn't approach settlements starved. The moderately friendly wolves thrived. But here's where it gets strange. Scientists studying this process noticed something unexpected. As humans unconsciously selected for tameness, other physical changes occurred automatically. The wolves began to look different. Their ears became floppy, their tails curled, their snouts shortened, their coats changed color and pattern. These physical changes happened without anyone selecting for them. When you select an animal primarily for behavioral traits like friendliness, a cascade of unexpected physical changes follows. Scientists believe this happens through Pleiotropy, where a single gene influences multiple traits throughout the body. A gene that makes an animal calm might also affect ear cartilage development. A gene that reduces stress hormones might influence pigmentation patterns. The friendlier wolves weren't chosen for floppy ears. Floppy ears came along for the ride. Different human populations around the world developed their own wolf populations, and these groups began to diverge from each other. Wolves in Europe became different from wolves in East Asia or the Middle East. They had different prey animals available, different human hunting practices, and different cultural preferences for wolf appearance. In one region, humans might have preferred larger dogs, in another, smaller ones. These preferences, even when subtle, pushed different populations of semi-domesticated wolves down divergent evolutionary paths. As humans became better at deliberately breeding dogs, thousands of years of specialized selection created the astounding diversity we see today. Humans took this foundation of altered genes and pushed them to extremes. They created St. Bernards weighing 200 pounds and Chihuahuas weighing 2 pounds. They created dogs bred for herding, for hunting, for running, for swimming, for sitting in laps. Every modern dog breed is the result of humans amplifying traits that were already present in that foundation population of self-domesticated wolves. But here's what makes this accidental. Nobody planned to create dogs. Nobody set out to develop a friendly, floppy-eared version of wolves. Humans didn't understand genetics. They didn't know why selecting for tameness caused physical changes. They simply lived near wolves that were friendly enough to tolerate. And over thousands of years when those wolves transformed. The first step was accidental. The wolves chose to live near humans. The second step was partially intentional. Humans began keeping and breeding the friendliest wolves. But the physical changes that made dogs look like dogs rather than wolves, were a side effect. The floppy ears and curled tails weren't the goal, they were consequences. What humans did intentionally was take this accidental domestication and deliberately amplify it. Once the framework existed, humans could breed for specific traits. But the initial creation of the domestic dog wasn't planned. It emerged from the intersection of human behavior, wolf behavior, and evolutionary pressure. Humans created an environment where friendlier wolves could survive. Wolves responded by living in that environment. The genetics of friendliness came along, with unexpected changes in appearance. After thousands of years, the result was something entirely new. A new animal emerged from this accidental partnership. We call it the domestic dog. Today, dogs are so adapted to human life that they've developed cognitive abilities specific to understanding human communication. Dogs can read human gestures and facial expressions in ways that wolves cannot. This ability evolved through the same process that created their physical form. Dogs were selected for friendliness, and that selection favored animals that paid attention to humans, that sought to understand human intentions. Over millennia, this created not just a different-looking animal, but a different thinking animal. An animal perfectly suited to live alongside humans. The relationship between humans and dogs is the longest interspecies partnership in human history. It began not with a plan, but with mutual benefit. Humans benefited from having sentries around their camps. Dogs benefited from reliable food. Neither species intended this partnership. Neither species planned the result. Yet, 40,000 years later, neither could survive as well without the other. Dogs changed when they shouldn't have been able to change. They developed traits that required no direct selection, yet appeared anyway. Humans transformed wolves into companions without fully understanding what they were doing. It's one of evolution's most remarkable accidents, and when it all started, because humans left food lying around.